Because that's my workforce. So interestingly enough, my workforce, you can see his digger there, but actually he's doing quite dexterous things in relation to things. So it's interesting suddenly seeing actually the smart machines, health, trials, travel, meteorology are where this is going. So my blue-collar workforce, believe it or not, might actually seem at risk, but initially are not at risk, which is, I think, very good for some of them, actually, because we are seeing quite a lot. So, they actually are reasonably safe. And that is reason because the body is also an evolutionary thing. The mind is an evolutionary thing, but the body is also, I think, a very underrated phenomenal evolutionary machine, which goes back to it. We've solved the deep go mental aspect, but the actual dexterity of moving those little go pieces is still enormously complex for us. So to be as versatile to doing something quite as simple as that is interesting. It's a little way off. So I'm sure my workforce are very keen. However, unfortunately for my workforce, and this leads, so basically, in our workforce, we have our work processes, we receive all sorts of information to do the work. This is where Myron would be feeding us enormous amounts of information. And this is we would then be processing that information, we would be packaging it up, we would be getting all the stuff, we would then be planning that, we'd be dispatching it, and then the last thing is we actually do it. So, unfortunately, for my business, the guy on the front line is pretty safe. But all the guys who are actually doing that preparation, once that information is received and prepare it, plan it, dispatch it, and actually make it happen, they are at risk. So ironically, the more middle management area of jobs, not the actual blue-collar job, are much highly at risk in the immediate future for me. Because all that planning, all that packaging, all that dispatching can be done without that dexterity. To extent. We're beginning to see quite a lot. So we're beginning to do a lot of this. We'll come to it. This is where these technologies emerge. We're really beginning to collect so much data in this area that it's augmented at the moment. The actual plan is almost just picking up things. And because so much data is being picked up in these areas, it's not that far away to take the actual planner completely out of the loop. But the red areas, the middle areas, are the risk areas in smart machines. Does that mean that the guys at the coalface are safe? So really, that is almost the, getting the instruction in and then actually physically doing the work. Well, they're safe from smart machines, but I have to tell you, they are not safe from this thing arriving, and this thing will arrive first. This is arriving for us, and I'm going to give you some examples of where this is right now. We're using this. The next few slides, you can see that I've given you a lot of hype, a lot of feelings and where the directions, and we'll give you some real practical stuff in a moment. They are not safe from this. This Internet of Things, sensors, changing the data, the disruption of these things, because it used to take a lot of time to actually package this. If you have a sensor that tells you your condition of your asset, you don't need people to go and work out what the condition of your asset is. You're being told what the condition of the asset is. Obviously, if you can actually know the condition of the asset before someone complains about it, you're likely to win a contract. I tell you, you're likely to put a bid together that will basically put you into a market leader. So, because there's a lot of work in this, think about it. When something goes wrong, it's painful. We talked about convenience and somebody saying it's painful to actually say the lighting's gone, the air conditioning's gone. If the building management system actually knows it's gone wrong or can sense that it's beginning to go wrong, i.e. the sensor's there and actually lets you know and starts packaging it, what a bid to put in. So we do know, and it's not about, it's about winning bids, but the amount of time and money it takes to actually send people to look at things, get people to check things, get people to record things, which is a lot of our business. Checking, recording, seeing if the asset is operating is enormous. If we can take all that cost out with a sensor, and these sensors now the prices are rocketing down. It's quite frightening how much they are rocketing down. And we'll give you a quick example of this. So the blue-collar workforce, although some of the actual doing, the picture you saw earlier will remain, we will change the actual nature of it through the Internet of Things very, very immediately. Okay, so let's give some examples of that. Oh, no, there's a self-dress. These are still things on the horizon. But they're all here, actually. Some of this is a matter of current and future. So let's look at sensors and bins. We do winter maintenance for large swathes of the actual UK. And you'd be amazed, something that is so mundane, you'll never think about it. But somebody has to keep grit bins filled up. You know, it's just something you expect. Now, to keep a grit bin filled up, you've got a choice. You can either drive around and like once a week and do a route and spend the petrol and the fuel and whatever, and you fill up the bins, okay? Or you can wait to be a complaint to come in, bad news, might be a penalty. But actually, that sensor is no more than now, like, I think it's about 38 pounds. 38 pounds. So we've put a whole lot of sensors in grit bins in Sheffield for 38 pounds. And we've worked out that the reduction in all these visits is enormous. And the reduction in fuel, the fuel's come down, is enormous. So classic example of sensors. We had the joy of maintaining the Forth Road Bridge. You all heard about the Forth Road Bridge over Christmas, surely. The Scottish, if you lived in Scotland, you certainly knew about the Forth Road Bridge. You know, basically, just before Christmas, they let the vehicles go on. But recently, before all the heavy goods vehicles went up, which is the most important part of almost the Scottish economy, and the real important thing is, how do you really do all the work? Well, it's now sensors. So a huge array of sensors was put onto this bridge to do all that online monitoring. Again, previously, it would have been a lot more people. It was a small amount of people, huge array of sensors. Okay, drones. We do a lot of flying. It used to be a really mundane piece of work. Somebody used to actually literally walk down a railway track checking certain things, visual maintenance. We've done experiments of drones. I have to say, drones are not as good as they're made out, by the way. If you have any level of wind, they're bloody useless. So don't get conned about them. They are having some very interesting aspects for us. We have used them, but they're not 100% reliable for us at all. I have to say, if I was a reporter or trying to get images, I wouldn't be without one, but for some of that day-to-day every work, there are significant limitations, and I'm beginning to expect you're going to see some significant legislation around this topic. The amount of driving we do, obviously, if we do get any self-drive stuff, we drive gritters, we drive prison vans, we drive maintenance vans. You know, the disruption in the driving things is enormous. So quite an interesting thing here. This is where the smart machine comes together. So I mentioned it earlier, but what we're doing is we're trying to do a little project called the Heineken moment, actually. And this is where the sort of machine intelligence will reduce the amount of actual work we have to do. So there used to be a joke. I don't think I was here when this advert was on. But the idea is the utility people don't dig up the road. The cable people, the television cable people don't dig up the road. Then the road people fixing potholes don't dig up roads. If you're going to enter into a road which needs all sorts of permits, you do it once.